media, schools, and institutions. That is like the legal system, governments, and all that stuff. But as for today, for my teaching, I just want to focus on, the parents, and I just want to focus on like the family, because these, they control the initial phase. They are the one that bring up their children. To conform is to be educated, to be, in other words, to be brought up in a certain way. They play a very important role in this. So I want to talk about families for today, because they're responsible for teaching, the culture, that is the values, the beliefs, the norms, the rules to their children that govern society. And I actually want to, if you can, again, write this down, that'll be very important. Please write this down, which is, I want to state society is as good as families are. Society is as good as families are. For instance, whatever values, remember, culture consists of things like values, whatever beliefs, whatever morals, whatever norms children are taught when they're growing up, they're going to agree to that, they're going to hold on to that, and they're going to take that and practice that in whatever areas they go, in their schools, basically in their business, in whatever job it is. So if a child is taught certain values, certain morals, certain things, they're going to hold on to that, and they're going to practice that in whatever it is they end up doing in life, whatever career they pursue. In their education, they're going to practice that. So that's why society is as good as family. And so that's why parents and family plays a very important role in this. They play a very important role in this. Now, with that being said, knowing that family play a very important role in how they bring up the children, I want to ask, parents some questions. And I mean this in the most respectful manner. The first question I want to ask is, what values are you teaching and passing on to your children? Think about that for a moment. What values are you teaching and passing on to your children? Are you teaching them to value things like marriage? That's a very tough question, especially when you're, let's say, a single parent. Because your child might not have, let's say, a dad at home who they can look up to if it's a boy and say, oh, I've seen how my dad respects my mother. I've seen how my dad loves my mother. And so when I grow up, I want to love, my wife just like my dad. I want to respect my wife just like my dad. So are you teaching your children to value things like marriage? It's a tough question if you're a single parent, because your daughter might not have a mom at home, someone she can look up to as a role model. It's a tough question. So what are you teaching them to value, again, things like marriage? And I ask this question because, again, whatever the children they see in their parents' marriage, in their home, most of the time, that's what they tend to practice in their own marriage. Some children, when they grow up in a very loving family, a very caring family, and they see how their dad cherishes their mother, how he loves their mother, just like Pastor, with me, I'd say, if I hadn't, let's say, learned or haven't gotten the examples of, first-hand experience of how Pastor, cherishes mommy, how he loves her, I would have, basically, when I, let's say, got married, I would have wanted to practice what I saw in the media. What people like James Bond do. What people like James Bond do. And so I would have wanted to practice what they were doing. I wouldn't want to be like, just get in a relationship with someone and dump them, because that's what you see in the movies. People like James Bond, that's what they do. They can get any girls they want. They can sleep with whoever they want. So that's what I would want to practice. It's about having been able to get a first-hand experience of how Pastor, loves mommy, how he takes care of mommy and the family, and how mommy respects Pastor. That's helping me to understand the values of marriage. How very important it is to value marriage. That's what I'm asking. What values are you teaching your children? Are you really teaching them to value marriage? It's not an easy question. It's a very difficult question. Being a parent, I understand it's not easy. Because I give my mom a hard time a lot, most of the time. It's not easy taking care of 4 boys, 3 boys. So that's why I understand when I ask this question, I understand it's difficult being a parent, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the parents to really start thinking. Because whatever you do in your marriage, that's when the kids, they grow up, they want to practice that. A lot of children, because they grew up, seeing their dad, he was very abusive to their mother. He used to beat their mother. He used to insult their mother. He used to disrespect their mother. So when they grow up, they think that's how they should, behave also. Seeing their dad beat their mother, they tend to develop this idea that women are inferior to men. They're not equal to men. They deserve they deserve men to behave like this to them. And so that's why a lot of children, when they grow up and they're married, they tend to practice what they saw. So they also tend to be abusive towards their wives. And one of the reasons why, because that's what they saw when they were growing up. They didn't really have a good role model. They didn't really see how important, they weren't really taught how important things like marriage is. And so they love their wives, but sometimes when they get upset, they're just very abusive towards them. They don't really understand why they're like that. The reason, because that's what they were taught. And remember, to conform is to agree, to accept. Their mind has been conditioned to think a certain way, and so they behave like that. So that's what I'm trying to get us to think. What values are you teaching your children? Are you really teaching them to value things like marriage? Some girls, when they see, let's say the dad being abusive towards the mom, they develop certain ideas that, that's just how life is. When they get into a relationship, that conditions them. They begin to think, that all men are abusive. And so when they think all men are abusive, all men, they abuse women. And so sometimes they end up getting into relationships that are very abusive too, because that's what they saw when they're growing up. So that's why it's important to teach your children to value things like marriage. Show them the positive sides, the benefits of marriage. Again, I understand it's not easy. It's not easy being a parent. Another question, what are you teaching your children to value? What values are you passing on to your children? Are you teaching them to value things like, partying, clubbing, it's all right? All your friends, they're partying. All your friends, they're clubbing. It's all right, you can go clubbing. It's all right, you can go partying. Are you teaching your children that? I remember when we first came here, we used to go to, a lot of African parties, and the first time I went there, my mind was, oh my God. My eyes were open to a lot of things I'd never seen before. I was like, whoa. And because, we were taken to this place, I began to think, wow, this is awesome. Oh my God, when is the next time I want to go to the next party? Oh, this is so awesome. But I didn't really understand that this was having an effect on me. Because one of the reasons I realized that when I was starting to grow up, because I was taken to parties when I was young, when I grew up, when I was in my high school years, I also started going to parties. I also started going clubbing. And I was so focused in things like party. I wasn't even really focused in things like my education. I wasn't really focused on things like that. So all I was just thinking about is the next party, the next club. And with my friends, when I'm doing my assignment, it's like, oh, Jimmy, let's go party. I'm like, yeah, I'll just drop my assignment, drop my book, and I'm going with them. Sometimes I'll even lie to my mom. I'll be like, we just go to a friend's birthday. He just invited us as a friend's birthday. And I'll lie to her, and I'll go with the boys, and I come home something like 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, after party. She didn't know what I was doing. Because the reason why I thought it was awesome was it's all right to club, to party, is because that's what I was told when I was growing up. So that's what I'm asking. Are you teaching your children to value these things? Because what you teach them, they'll tend to hold on to that in practice. Remember, to conform is to be taught, is to become a product of the society and the culture in which you grew up in. And again, society consists of things like values, morals. So you're teaching your children certain values. And some children, they struggle to be faithful, when they grow up in their marriages, because they've been, let's say, conditioned to go to places like parties. So when they in the marriage, things like marriage, they struggle to be really committed to their marriage. Why? Because they think, oh, why should I be committed to one person when I can just go to a party and get with whoever I want? Why should I commit to this relationship? Why should I stay along with this relationship when I can just, go and have fun? There are alternatives. So teaching children to, value things like party can have an impact actually on their future relationships, on their marriages. One of the reasons I actually stopped going to parties is I came to the realization, I said to myself, Jimmy, if you keep on going to parties, if you keep on going clubbing, are you ever going to find the right person for you? Are you ever going to find the person that's going to be really committed to you in your relationship? Is this an environment where you're going to find the right person you want to marry to, spend the rest of your life with? Because if you keep on going party, you keep on going clubbing, you develop a certain mindset. So that has an impact on you. What I'm trying to do this morning is I'm trying to get, most of the parents to really think, about what they do, how their actions has an impact, and how it influences the lives of their children. Whatever values, whatever morals, whatever beliefs you teach your children, they're going to grow up holding on to that. They're going to grow up thinking that's acceptable. So children are taught to conform, taught certain values and all these things by their parents. Are you teaching them to value people? Some kids, I remember back in the, let's say, previous decades, things like the racism, the discrimination, one of the reasons so high is because a lot of children, they were taught in places like in nations like America, you can't go to school with people of certain race. You can't eat with people of certain race. You can't ride in the same bus like people of certain race. You can't even swim in the same swimming pool. And kids were being taught this. And because they were taught these things, they began to be more discriminative. They were more racist towards these other people of different race. And so that's why parents have a very important role to play. They were taught basically not to value people of other race, not to see that how valuable they are, how important they are, but as more inferior. They're inferior to them. They're more superior to the people of other race. So people of other race should respect them and treat them more better than themselves.